This is going to be a slightly different video. That's not whiskey, don't worry. Hello and welcome back to Mark Ellis Reviews. Thank you for subscribing if you have, and if you haven't subscribed, you know where the button is. So I've been the proud owner of a Surface 4 laptop for about three or 4 weeks now. If you watched my video reaction to the Windows 11 announcement a few weeks back, this might surprise you. You know, I'm a Mac guy. I've got 3 Macs that I use in my business. I made a video about that recently. If you want to have a laugh at that, I'll put a link above. But it's true, this has been one of the most exciting tech purchases I've made for years and years. I was so excited to get this in my hands. But despite that, that original Windows 11 reaction video that I made has drawn by far the most negative comments on this channel that I've ever received. And this video isn't a kind of woe is me, get the violins out. That's not the point of this. What bothered me about those negative comments, and as always, these were in the minority, it's really important to mention that 99% of the people that comment on my channel are just lovely, lovely people. But the negative comments I received on that Windows 11 video completely missed the point. I've always enjoyed sort of getting constructive criticism on this channel. It helps me grow it. I'm still only a year in, so I've got lots to work on. But some of the comments I got on that Windows 11 video just revealed a side of tech that I knew existed, but that deeply bothers me, and I wish we could all change. I'll leave a link above to the Windows 11 announcement video that I'm talking about, so you can check it out if you haven't watched it yet. But the negative comments I was receiving on that video were all along the lines of, how can you review a version of Windows that hasn't even been released yet? You're a Mac guy, you don't know what you're talking about. Give Microsoft a chance, this is a beta product. Wait until you've used Windows 11 until you start reviewing it. And some of them, well, I can't repeat some of the comments, unfortunately. They were just nasty, but the ones that bothered me the most were the ones that just didn't get the point of that video. So I want to make 2 important clarifications about that video. And the first one is that I wasn't actually reviewing Windows 11 in that video. I was simply reacting to Microsoft's announcement, which was just, in my opinion, ham-fisted, confusing, and just dreadful piece of PR. The second thing is that if you listen to what I'm saying, I'm actually on the side of Windows users. I want Windows 11 to succeed. I want it to be a fantastic version of that operating system. And as I even mentioned in that video, I've got a very long history of using Windows before Macs, and actually probably for a longer period of my life I was a Windows user. I loved it. I just happened to try a Mac one day and fell in love with that as well. Doesn't mean I hate Windows, doesn't mean I have anything against Windows. I just wasn't that impressed by what Microsoft did during that launch event. And in that video I was poking fun a little bit. I mean, you have to try and make content interesting, otherwise people aren't going to watch it. It won't float everyone's boat. I won't always be your cup of tea, but it's just my style of presenting those types of analysis. But the underlying narrative running under that entire video was that I didn't think Microsoft were doing its users or Windows itself any justice. But since that video, I've not been able to stop thinking about getting back to Windows, which is why I bought this, and I put my money where my mouth was. I bought this with my own money, and I'm using it. I'm using this day in, day out. I'm not using it for everything, but I am putting as much of my daily work onto this laptop as possible. But that begs the question, how can a Mac guy feel so excited about going over to Windows when it feels like he's kind of trying to get into a party that he's never been invited to? This is all about something called the platform wars. If you're not familiar with that term, it's basically this kind of almost tribal-like devotion to a piece of technology or a certain brand of technology. So, you know, people who love Apple and absolutely despise anything else, or people who are absolutely obsessed with their Android phones and think iOS is just a pile of garbage. It's that, and obviously you're allowed to have your favourites. I like iPhones. I don't mind Android actually, but I prefer iPhones. That's fine, but it's this kind of almost like combative nastiness that comes into it that I see in my comments. Like I say, not that often. It's, you know, these people are thankfully few and far between, but they do occasionally surface the more popular a video becomes. I don't get it. Cards on the table. I do not understand the platform wars. I totally get rivalry in sport, for instance. You know, if you've got your favourite football team, I get that. If you can't stand the opposition, that's great. It's all about competition, and that's what happens in sport. I get that. But to be that, like I say, almost tribal-like about a piece of technology, I just don't get it. And it spawned really irritating phrases like Apple sheep and Windows, spelled, you know, W-I-N-D-O-Z-E, I think. It's just utterly pointless. Now, Apple is probably the best example, I think personally, of a brand that gets an awful lot of stick from people who despise it. And they're an easy target. it's low-hanging fruit. You know, they make laptops and headphones that are more expensive than most of the competition. And they seem to put all of their effort into design over function and all this sort of stuff. And whatever you think about that is fairly irrelevant, because there's a subsection of people who just think people who buy Apple stuff are idiots. So if you buy a pair of AirPods Max, you're an idiot. If you buy a MacBook Pro, you're an idiot. You could have got a Windows laptop for a third of the price. But as I regularly say in my reviews, if you just want a piece of technology because you just want it, that's absolutely fine. That's your decision. If you've got the money for it, you can afford it, and even if it won't make any difference to your life, but you just want that piece of technology, buy it. Take the motor industry. So in this household, we have 2 cars, which is quite standard, I think. One of them is I suppose you could say, family car, which is a great car. Actually, nothing wrong with it at all. I love driving that car. The other car is a sports car, which is just silly, really silly, drinks petrol, but I love it. It makes me very happy and puts a big smile on my face. And if we apply the whole Apple hatred thing to the motor industry, then that would make me an idiot for owning such a stupid car when I could spend less and have something that does more. As it turns out, they're both brilliant cars, they both have an audience, and who cares? I would not be surprised at all if this video attracts more troll-like comments. We'll see what happens. I just wanted to make it because it bothers me, this whole tribal platform wars thing. I think it's utterly silly, utterly pointless. And the main reason it bothers me isn't because I can't, take getting the flack. It doesn't bother me, although it does bother me that there might be creators out there who perhaps haven't got quite as thick skin as me. It's not nice getting horrible comments, so yeah, that bothers me. But I think the other thing that really worries me about this is that the more we focus on battling against each other in terms of what we like and what other people like, we're taking the focus off the companies themselves. I think if we could be more harmonious and a little bit more accepting of the fact that someone else likes a different type of smartphone to you, we then start to put the focus back on the brands and the companies that are making these products. And the reason that's important is because the more we do that, the more we push them to be innovative. It bothers me, for instance, that the iPhone has got really boring. I'll put a link to my iPhone 12 review, which is from ages ago, but it's probably a terrible video, but I'll put a link above anyway. But in that video, I talk about the fact that it's just an iPhone. It's a superb phone. Do not get me wrong, it's the best iPhone they've ever made, but it's really boring. It's just a phone. I'd love them to do something more interesting with it, which is why things like the flip phones that are coming out now are genuinely interesting. But the more we kind of scuffle between ourselves about what's better between Windows and Mac OS, boring even talking about it, but the more we do that, the more we, as I say, take the pressure off, I think, the companies. They let us get on with those scraps, they kind of spend their R&D budgets how they see fit, but they don't really get the feedback from us. Going back to Microsoft, they have got a perfect opportunity here to tempt people like me back to their platform, but they're making a total hash of their PR effort on it. Okay, maybe I added fuel to the fire a little bit, potentially, but I was just trying to have a bit of a tongue-in-cheek look at what they were doing. And like I say, that underlying narrative got lost completely. The fact that I was basically saying, I'm on your side, Windows people, just got lost. There's this instant kind of attack mode that people go into, whereas really your anger should be directed at the company. Because I can guarantee some of the people that were putting negative comments against my Windows 11 reaction video are probably fairly peed off with Microsoft themselves. They probably want to see Windows doing better than it is. They probably weren't happy with that compatibility tool not working. Direct your anger at Microsoft. Throw it their way, not to people who are just commenting on the sidelines. So, in closing, the platform wars are just biblically boring. And if we can all work together to really focus our energy at these tech giants, hopefully we'll start to see far more interesting phones hit the market and just much better competition between them. We all benefit from that. Now, the Surface Laptop 4 has been with me, like I say, for about 4 weeks now. I've got lots more thoughts on it. I need to run it a bit more to get my head around how it works for a Mac user long term. So I will return with a more in-depth review of that laptop. I've got lots of things to say about it. But I'd like to know, if you are a Mac person or a Windows person, what would you like me to cover on that Surface Laptop 4? What sort of things are you interested in hearing about from me? Bearing in mind that I'm coming from macOS. I've been using macOS for a long time. What insight, what kind of things do you want me to test? Let me know in the comments. And one last time, if you did miss my Windows 11 reaction video and you want to have a bit of a laugh, either at me or with me, I don't mind, I'll leave a link at the end of this video. But in the meantime, thank you again for watching this one, and I'll catch you next time.